Hey YouTube, Dan from South Thought Computing, and today we'll be reviewing a generic 2-inch car DVR, and that's coming up next. Hey YouTube, it's Dan, and on this episode we're going to be reviewing possibly the smallest car DVR that we've done to date. As you can see, this box here doesn't have any sort of markings, and as always when we order them off of eBay, it doesn't really have any sort of model number either, but it says it has a 2-inch display and it's capable of doing H.264 video compression. So we're going to put it through its paces. 9 times out of 10 these car DVRs say they do the H.246 video compression, but they never do. It's normally that motion JPEG. So let's open the box and see what we got. Okay, so as we unboxed everything here, what do we have? We have our USB cable to connect it to a computer, the power supply for the car from the cigarette light adapter to USB, the suction cup, this is definitely a different one, never seen this kind before, and our extremely small camera here. Check this guy out. Let's see, we got a power button here. There's a film on here, so don't worry, it's not scratched, but we'll be going over all the functions of this little guy in a second. We got an HDMI, a small HDMI port down there. We have a micro SD card, our AV out port, as well as our USB ports. So, okay, let's get some memory in this guy and see what we got. This time around, we'll be using the SP memory that I bought off of Newegg. It was super cheap, 32 gig. And let's pop it in. So, right off the bat it says it's got GPS. I don't know about that, but we'll have a look in a second. It's automatically recording. It looks like at 30 frames a second, but let's see what we could do here. What's this button do? Alright, top button here, put it onto standby. We hit it again. Whoops, I hit the top button by accident, so I shut it off. So let's hit this first one here. Woohoo! Right away we got a problem. We're in the wrong language. We're back, and one of the biggest hurdles we had was it wasn't even in the proper English language. So you go to the top button here that looks like a menu button. And basically you need to get over to that little wrench icon on the bottom. So let's see. So if we keep on hitting this button here, you'll eventually get to that little wrench icon, and the way to change the language is you're going to hit down until you get to page 2 language. Once you get that, you're going to hit the little record button, and that gets you into language. And then you just scroll up to English and then press the record button again. Alright, we tried this before, but let's try it again. So, here we are at the main startup for this device here, so we're going to go ahead and shut off the record here. And to get to the menus, we're going to hit this top button right here. So on page 1 of this movie icon, you get to set your movie mode, and in here we have the 1080p setting at 30 frames a second. You have the 720p setting at both 30 and as well as 60 frames a second, and it looks like we have more down there. The 640 by 480 only at 30 frames. I like doing 720p at 30 frames. It seems like the most efficient use of my SD card, especially when I want to go back and grab footage at a later date. Movie quality, if we go in there, super fine and fine. Sounds like something you say to the ladies, but that's our settings there. Movie length, I set it to 3, but you have an option of off, 1 minute, 3, 5, and 10 minutes. Movie off time, how long you want the movie to stop after it's stopped receiving power. Motion event record is on, sound record is on, mic sensitivity is set to standard. Scene, what is scene? Ah, okay, what kind of portrait, basically what kind of settings you're looking for the video quality here. We're going to try it out in auto, see how it fares with both daytime and nighttime. Set your exposure settings, white balance, and ISO sensitivity. Not exactly sure what that is. It looks like particular standards for filming apparently, so that's something to be investigated here. If we go back, and now we're on the camera setting itself, just still pictures. You can set your quality here, scene, white balance, pretty much all the same settings you would find in the video section for quality and all that fun stuff. So under effects though, what do we got? We got normal black. Oh, look at that. It's got all these cool little filters for when you're messing around with the still image portion of the camera. Very nice. Playback options here, setting your volume, how to delete, protect certain files. This one here is basically to format your micro SD card and to get information, and we have already formatted this card, but what does info do? Well, it actually shows you all the files and their names. Alright, so we go back one more time. As we saw prior, we have whether or not we want the beep on, power off, never. Actually, I want to change that to 1 minute, 5 minutes. I'm assuming this is sleep mode once it's recording because it wants to keep the display on. Let's set that. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to set that to never, just to see if that's what I think it is. This one here is to set the clock, date and time format, how you want it to display, and then the stamp on the screen, date and logo, date and just logo. That's pretty cool. Obviously the language that we looked at before, what kind of TV system if you had a hookup for it. I'm going to put it on the US standard, the NTSC format. What kind of format you want the HDMI output to be. Flicker settings for frequencies. Here I'm going to set that to 60 Hertz. Here we go. Do we want to rotate the LCD? Oh, USB function. I see. What kind of functions you want it to be. A camera or a mountable drive for your PC. That's what we want to keep it as. LCD power save, that's what I was looking for. After 3 minutes, it will turn it off. Detect level, not sure what that is. Of course, the instructions telling us nothing about that. G sensor, whether or not we want that to be triggered anytime there's a sudden shock in G-force. Motion detect, whether or not we want that on. GPS status. Huh. Now this will be interesting if this thing actually could produce a GPS signal. I'm very curious to see if this works in our testing. And then the time zone, oh, we need to set that. Oh, GTM -5, which is that one there. We're gonna go ahead and hit the button. Firmware version there is 130829. Alrighty, we're gonna take this out on the road and see what we got. And oh yeah, and there's a reset button. So we'll be back. Okay, so here is our 720p setting at 30 frames a second. As you can see from the image that this camera is producing here, we're getting a focal point closer to my liking. Basically, the closer the object is, the more clearer it's going to be. And when you look out into the distance, it's a little bit of a blurry vision, but you still can make out what's going on. It's still pretty clear compared to a lot of the cameras that we reviewed. The movie quality was very decent, and it's kind of refreshing that this particular lens here is not a fishbowl lens, rather a regular one. Lastly, here we have our nighttime vision shot. Again, it's 720p at 30 frames a second. And what is a very nice surprise here is our nighttime shot is really good. I'm quite impressed that this little guy was able to produce the type of image that we're seeing here without any adjustments to the exposure or any of the settings. This is the first camera ever in the history of Southall computing where this has been this good right out of the box. I'm very impressed with the nighttime shots here. I also forgot to mention during the daytime shot that the audio is also excellent. It's exactly what you would expect it to be, and as you saw through the menus, you could even make it better if you choose to. So let's wrap this up. What do we think about this generic 2-inch car DVR? Let's go down the list of everything that I like about it. Well, for starters, it's compact design. I mean, look at this thing. This thing is tiny in comparison to what we're accustomed to on eBay and Amazon and all those sites that sell these things. It's kind of funny, it looks like a old school digital camera, but the size with this thing is really awesome, and it proves that it doesn't have to be a big obnoxious camera hanging off your windshield. The second thing that I liked about this camera was the microphone. The audio quality was excellent. I could not believe what kind of sound I was getting out of this. It wasn't too
over distorted. It was just perfect. Excellent night vision. This thing was a top performer when it came up to night vision here. I was very surprised that this thing was able to produce the shots that it did even without having to adjust any sort of setting on the camera, so kudos to them. This is the first camera that we ever reviewed that actually did that automatically. Congratulations to you guys. I can't believe it, but we finally found another camera that will record in H.264 video quality when they actually advertised it. So my only complaint with this camera is its poor focal point. It was a lot more clear when objects were closer to the vehicle versus when they were further away. One nice feature looks like it's capable of doing is GPS sensors. I wish there was some sort of add-on I could buy for, because this is definitely going to stay in one of my cars for the life of this product. So the $1 million question is, buy it or toss it? Well, absolutely buy it. It was at a $44 price point for the size, the quality, and everything that you get out of this little compact design. Absolutely buy it now. Well, that wraps it up here. If you like what you see, obviously leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, like the video, do what you gotta do. It would be greatly appreciated. This is Dan from Southall Computing, and as always, until the next time.